Hey there, folks. It is me, Tanya, founder of the TNG Group Limited. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about what are brand style guides and equally why they're even needed, right? I want to make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel so you do not miss out on any of the videos that I go ahead and upload. But equally, if you find out about subjects like what is a brand guideline, to be able to make sure that you are getting your brand set, established, with a grounding or with a level of understanding that your audience equally gets to understand as well. Now, stick around to the end of this video because, as always, folks, I've got a super cool gift to be able to share with you. So, without further ado, let's get stuck into it. So, okay, as I said, we're going to be talking about what is a brand guideline and equally why you even need one, right? Whether you're a personal brand or a business brand, this is super relevant to you because what it does essentially is allow others, outsiders, to be able to understand you from the get-go, from the idea of a booklet or a PDF, however you want to be able to share this item, right? And it can literally be printed or it can be just left as a digital device, digital item that you are sharing. Now, the reason why, let me get straight into that part. The reason why you need a guideline is to be able to allow suppliers in particular to understand your brand without you having to physically be there. Think of it as like being a brochure to your brand or of your brand. So from this guideline, if you like, depending on how in depth it can go, it can be super straightforward from understanding just what your colors are to your logo, either the black and white version or the colored version, whatever it may be. But they're just imagine like your colors with their hex codes, CMYK codes, or even RGB codes listed, types of fonts that you use, and it can literally just stop there. Or it can be as detailed as having your tone of voice added in, your type of imagery that you use, your positioning for your logos and so forth. And whether it be in a magazine ad or a magazine article, however your logo or brand travels, your guidelines will actually help to explain that. And as I said, think of it as like a brochure to you and your brand, right? And equally, off that note, you kind of get to the gist now as to what brand guidelines actually are. It is your brochure. It is the leadway as to who or understanding what it is that you do, right? It also gives that type of information. And to establish or to make sure that you are creating brand guidelines that are suitable for you and your brand to help others to make sense of what it is that you do or to equally understand what it is that you do as suppliers, you want to make sure that you are covering these key points. So the first thing, aside from your VPV, yes, you do need to help others to know what it is that you're working towards or why it is that you're doing. So yes, establishing your VPV and actually putting it in your guidelines is super key. But aside from that, you want to make sure that things like your, as I said, aside from your logo and your tone of voice, you want to make sure that you're also mentioning who your audience is. Because if a supplier or if your outside person who is there to help you to understand what it is that you do and why it is that you do it, if they don't have that type of information, they don't know how to direct the visual asset for yourself, right? They don't know how to direct or complete their own project or do what it is that they need to do for you in the best possible kind of way because they haven't understood who your audience is, right? Or equally what your messaging is. They need to understand those key elements to be able to do their jobs right. So make sure that within your brand guidelines, you are covering these key points. And the other thing that I want to make sure that you also do is to understand how you can actually put a couple of mood boards in there. Now, mood boards allow your supplier or this outside person to really get to grips as to what inspires you or what's triggered you to get to that point, to get to your brand messaging, to get to your story, to get to your logo, all that kind of stuff. Your mood boards actually help to establish that. And they help to drive that level of inspiration even further for any supplier that actually needs to be able to understand you, right? So that they can do their jobs properly. And another thing that you want to make sure that you do include, as I said to you before, are your fonts. Now, it's not just whether or not you've use one particular font a lot. You want to make sure that you're being consistent with this aspect. And one of the main reasons why I'm getting you to make sure that you are including these assets within your brand guidelines is because you want to allow for consistency. As I said to you a minute ago, right? Your brand guidelines will allow for any outsider to make sure that your brand is as it should be. Because remember, folks, your brand travels, right? We all work internally with our brand. We all work with what it is, what we know about our brand. But now suppliers need to know about that so that they can best represent your brand outside of you, you know? So when you have things like style guidelines or even brand guidelines, I called it just a minute ago, you will be able to allow your brand to travel in the best possible kind of a way that still keeps its shape, that still keeps its meaning, so that the level of your reputation can still remain the same, if not increase. So folks, if you've never even thought about what are brand style guidelines, you now know what they are and what they can do, but equally, you now know why you actually need them yourself. If you have them already, make sure that you've actually updated them, because remember, we are always growing and we are always evolving. So make sure your values, make sure your vision and your purpose, your tone of voice, all that kind of stuff is still the same, right? Because you don't want to be sending off documents or items that have no longer have a relevance to you, right? So make sure that it's always updated, you know? For those of you who don't have it, make sure you go ahead and start, whether it be just that basic version that I was saying to you about, so that others know about your colors, so that others know about your fonts, your logo, what that even looks like. Maybe you create yourself a Google Drive or a point of reference that will allow people to go ahead and tap into quite easily, right? Think about what that is for yourself, because folks, I cannot urge to you enough, when you are seeking the help of outside suppliers, right? They need to know and understand who you are. Brand style guides allow them to understand who you are without you having to physically be there all the time. So I'm going to leave it there. Go ahead and let me know. Do you even have one yourself? If you do, go ahead and drop a comment in this comment section below, because I'd love to know and I'd love to hear about it. Equally, folks, make sure you go ahead and share this video with somebody else who you feel that should actually also set themselves up with some brand style guidelines, you know? And yeah, as always, folks, my gift from me to you is here by clicking on the link that's in the description box below this as well. Make sure you go ahead and tap into that. These are my top tips to make sure that your brand is getting noticed in the best possible kind of a way, so that your reputation builds and builds and builds and equally grows, right? Make sure that you go ahead and click on that link and to get all the juicy little golden nuggets that I've actually shared within that document. And as always, there is a bonus at the end of it. So get yourselves on it and get yourselves, experiencing it even more so. Folks, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the other side.